Live from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, it's the Civil Rights Game in 2014, matching the Houston Astros with the Baltimore Orioles here on CSN Houston. And welcome, it's Game 2 of a 4-game series, a special night as the Astros and the Orioles meet. And the Astros extending their winning streak to 6 last night. But the real story of this game, as Mayor Anise Parker is there with the Astros skipper Bo Porter, is the celebration of what baseball has done down through the years to incorporate African Americans. And we talk about the roots, and the Negro Leagues are a part of the roots that led up to the incorporation, of course, with Jackie Robinson entering Major League Baseball in 1947, breaking the color barrier. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Brown, along with Alan Ashby and Julia Morales. And there was a special luncheon held today in downtown Houston. A lot of dignitaries are here for this game, which Ash started a few years ago and really highlights the contributions of African Americans to Major League Baseball.
Well, you've got some of the greats. There's Frank Robinson in town, and a guy I was fortunate enough to play for when he first became the first black manager in baseball. Hank Aaron is in town. Just so many. Too bad that a Jackie Robinson couldn't be here as well. But so many of those guys that branched from the Negro Leagues and came on to Major League Baseball and had such great careers.
And we'll give you a little history lesson right now. The Negro Leagues began with the Negro National League in 1920 and ended in the 1960s, but didn't reach Houston until 1949 when the New York Eagles moved to town. The Elite Giants began in 1920 as the Nashville Standard Giants, and they arrived in Baltimore in 1938. Tonight, the Astros and Orioles pay tribute to the Negro League heritage of their respective cities by wearing the uniforms of the Eagles, worn there by starting pitcher Brett Oberholzer, and the Elite Giants. And tonight, we'll look back at some of the pioneers and amazing players of the Negro League era, like the great Buck O'Neil, Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson, Texas native Smokey Joe Williams, and Monty Irvin, who played with the Newark Eagles and still lives in Houston today. It's a special night, and coming up, paying homage. It's a night for paying respects to those who paved the way, and one Astros player has been looking forward to the chance to recognize those who made his road easier. Julia Morales has more on that when we return. Comcast Sportsnet's presentation of
Park. A very special Friday night at the ballpark here as Major League plays tribute to the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act. You just saw Pro Football Hall of Famer Jim Brown come in on a nice, beautiful car. Bo Porter there ready to go for tonight's game. The 8th annual Civil Rights game held right here in Houston, and the Orioles and Astros will look a little different as they take the field. They will be wearing throwback uniforms from the Negro Leagues. The Astros donning the Houston Eagles uniform, the only Negro Leagues team to play in the state of Texas. There was some great talent on that team as well as in the league, and players in the Astros clubhouse know that well. I heard Josh Gibson, I heard Satchel Paige, those names being tossed around in conversation today, their legacy alive and on everyone's mind today. A couple of guys spent time talking about what it means to be a part of this event, and among those was left-handed reliever Tony Sipp.
It means a lot. I mean, you kind of pay homage to the guys that came before you, that went through a lot more than what I'm going through right now. You know, they kind of walk those uncharted roads, so you know they can kind of, you know, we can walk on paved roads now. You know, it's just good to be able to. I know this wouldn't be paying them back, but you know, pay homage to the things that they've done and the sacrifices that they've made. And, you know, every year you get to meet, you know, different people that are legends.
Another pitcher, Jerome Williams, added that this is a very special day for him, thinking back to stories that his father and grandmother even told him. It's more than just a baseball game tonight. All right, coming up, it's time to give our respect to the great people that help make baseball special. And right now, George Springer is making baseball special in Houston. Can Obi and the gang make it 7 in a row? We'll find out next. Don't go anywhere.
Night in Houston. A celebration of America's pastime and how it changed our country. In cities like Baltimore and Newark, Chicago and Kansas City, thousands of men played the game as well as anyone in Boston and New York. And when Jackie came to Brooklyn, not only was baseball integrated, a nation began to change its views on race and diversity. Tonight is more than special uniforms and ball caps. Tonight is about men who shape their future by playing the game they love. Welcome to the 2014 Major League Baseball Civil Rights Game.
And back to Minute Maid Park, where the game is a few minutes away from starting here. Dignitaries have been assembled. The Astros and Orioles getting set to play Game 2 of a 3-game series, and there have been those special ceremonies today. Luncheon downtown leading up to this event. Many of those dignitaries have come out from the luncheon to this ball game tonight, and there's the Houston resident. George Foreman, great boxing champion, will be a part of the ceremonies by throwing out the first pitch tonight. And Bob Kendrick, by the way, will be joining us again tonight to talk about some of the great players of Negro League Baseball. J.R. Richard, a part of that today. Bob Watson, former Astro player and general manager. So the Astros are playing a big part in this whole commemoration today. And there's the first pitch as Astros opening day starter Scott Feldman catches that toss from George Foreman. Getting ready now for our national anthem from Minute Maid Park. And a photo op for Scott Feldman. Well, we've got so many great athletes living in the city of Houston. George Foreman long has lived here. Bo Porter, Tarek Brock, his first base coach, watching from the Astros dugout. The Astros and Orioles, members of both teams, attending the luncheon today downtown. And there's that old uniform of the Elite Giants. Looks like it would be pronounced Elite today, but back in the day, they pronounced it Elite, Ash, so we'll be appropriate with those times many years ago, but people will not understand, will they?
Not one bit, and I wonder how Buck Showalter might pronounce that right now, one way or another. You got two major league teams really honoring what has been done in the past, and guys who set the tone for others who weren't even around at the time, and it's just amazing what the players from that era were able to do for those who would follow.
Saw a shot there of the great Jim Brown, NFL Hall of Famer. He's been a big part of the ceremonies today. So many of those on the field for these pregame ceremonies, watching as the Astros players now take the field alongside some youngsters. Barry Gordy of Motown there with George Foreman. And Jim Brown, also a lacrosse Hall of Fame member. Forgot about that one, Ash.
Such a great athlete. I would have loved to have seen him take a hand at baseball a little bit. I'll bet he would have succeeded.
Now we're all set for our national anthem, which should begin any moment now. They're still getting people lined up as the players from both teams are out in front of their respective dugouts, and now some other folks lining up alongside, getting in position for our national anthem from Minute Maid Park tonight.
Joining us to perform our anthem this evening as we salute America, please welcome up-and-coming artist Jada Grace. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the Rockies regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave room through the
Hall of Famer Monty Irvin was a left fielder who played 6 seasons for the Newark Eagles and was the first player to break baseball's color barrier, was among the first. 5-time Negro League All-Star and Major League All-Star. He won a Negro League World Series and 2 World Series with the Giants, who retired his number 20. He's now a Houston resident. Monty Irvin was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1973.
So a little something from the swing there that reminds me a bit of Willie Mays back in the day. And Monty Irvin played for the Newark Eagles. And back in the 30s and 40s, played with the New York Giants, on in the major leagues, and the Chicago Cubs. And he had a very distinguished career, obviously, in the major leagues. Served in World War II, elected to the Hall of Fame in 1973, and very deservedly so. Monty Irvin, one of the game's greats on both ends, playing in the Negro Leagues and in the major leagues.
Now Brett Oberholzer is headed for the mound, and we're just about ready to get this game started. It's been a very good month for the Astros. They're 14-13 in the month of May. They were off on May 1st. You look back at the standings. The A's have gone to 32-22 with their record, and as you see, they were 18-10 on May 1st. And the Astros have gone from 9-19 to 23-32. Houston 14-13 in May. So the Astros have lost only a half game in the standings during the month of May to the first place Oakland A's, showing you that they have played pretty well this month.
An Astros team that is coming together. They're doing it with the new fresh talent, obviously, from George Springer. Jose Altuve has been brilliant to this point. The pitching, whether it be starting and relieving here recently, just outstanding for the ball club. Brett Oberholzer, one of the guys trying to make it into what will become a 5-man rotation. Pitched very well as he came back up from the minor leagues his last time out. And Brett Oberholzer, obviously a guy the Astros would love to have in that rotation, the left-hander that can mix things up a little bit, probably with 3 right-handers at some point. But maybe a lot's on the shoulders of Oberholzer tonight, trying to make sure that he lives up to what's needed to be able to get into this rotation now.
He got his first Major League win last year by shutting out this Baltimore club over 7 innings. He's 1-6 this season with a 5.32 ERA. He snapped a personal 10-game losing streak with that win over Seattle on Saturday. You just saw some clips of his excellent work in that game. Now here's the starting lineup for the Baltimore Orioles. Nick Markakis is the right fielder. He leads it off. He's followed by left fielder Steve Pearce, with DH Nelson Cruz batting third. And he leads in home runs with 19 and runs batted in with 49 in the American League. Adam Jones, the center fielder, is the cleanup man, with Chris Davis at first base, J.J. Hardy at shortstop, Manny Machado at third base, Jonathan Scope the second baseman, Caleb Joseph is the catcher for Miguel Gonzalez.
Defensively for the Astros, or the Eagles, as you prefer tonight. In left field, Robbie Grossman, Dexter Fowler in center, and George Springer in right. Around the infield, left to right, Matt Dominguez and Jonathan Villar. Right side, Jose Altuve and Chris Carter. And behind the plate, it's Jason Castro.
And Nick Markakis to get it going. Markakis is having a good start to this season. He has 66 hits. That ranks him 7th in the American League. Markakis, with a .300 batting average, has a .350 on base percentage. Last night he was 1 for 4. He led off the game with a single off Brad Peacock. And the first pitch is high from Oberholzer. There's ball 1. Rev has come back from the minor leagues to pitch well in that last start, wearing the rainbow uniforms, now wearing the Eagles uniform. So he hasn't worn this year's Houston Astros uniform yet since returning from the minors. Of course, he wore it earlier this year. And the count goes to 1-1.
A little bit of a buzz starting to show up in the city of Houston these days about the Astros and everything that's suddenly starting to come together.
It's a bouncer right side, and that's backhanded. Chris Carter with a long underhand toss. Makes a good play to start this game.
Chris Carter, a second consecutive start with the leather at first base. Let's see what Carter does here. Ranging wide to his right. Pretty nice play to rob otherwise what would be a base hit through the right side.
Well, that's a ground ball out, number 1 for Obi, and now it's Steve Pearce, the former Astro, who was 1 for 4 last night. And he carries a .324 average into the batter's box with 4 homers, 11 runs batted in, a .361 on base average for Steve Pearce. Steve's 31 years old, from Lakeland, Florida. Played at South Carolina in college. That comes in, and it's good for strike one. Mark Wegner is the home plate umpire tonight. Well, Oberholzer joined the Houston rotation the night he beat the Orioles last July 31st. And since then, his ERA has been 3.49 in 18 major league starts. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lifetime record 5-11. Changes speeds, and that is a strike. Pearce trying to hold the bat back, and it's 1-2 now.
That changeup coming into play. Looked like back-to-back changes there.
There is some rain in the area, and the roof is closed tonight. It was open last night, and the Astros won it 3-1 on a 2-run George Springer homer in the 7th. Ground ball, and the shift is going to pay off here. VR right there in position to get Pearce. 2 down.
Yeah, Jonathan continues to make the plays defensively, and that's one of the big keys for a guy when you're struggling with the bat. Get it done defensively, and Jonathan VR has just continued to be very valuable in terms of the defensive side of the game.
Nelson Cruz had a couple of hits and drove in a run last night. He's the league leader in homers, runs batted in, and total bases. And he's 4th in runs scored. With gaudy numbers for Nelson Cruz. Chris Davis type numbers from 2013 to this stage of the season. Ball 1 to Cruz, and Cruz is the type of hitter that can drive the ball out anywhere in the ballpark. Infield shifts him around, playing him to pull. He hit a line drive to Altuve last night on the shortstop side of second. Really drilled that one and lost a hit because of the shift. Now it's 1-1.
Valuable changeup on the 1-0. Hitters count. Look fastball and try to get one to drive it, and that changeup completely crossed him up.
Castro wanted it inside. The pitch a little bit too far to get a call, and it's a 2-ball, 1-strike count.
Nelson Cruz and Edwin Encarnacion, a couple of guys with the home run ball, just tearing up the league.
They are. Encarnacion hit a couple more last night. He's right behind Cruz, 1 behind him with 18. Pretty good home run race here in the early stages. 3-1 to Cruz now, and Obi has that change up. He has a curveball. Let's see what he pulls out of his back pocket on this 3-1. Broken bat. VR to his left, and that is a 1-2-3-3 ground ball out. First for Oberholzer, no score. Williams was a pitching legend in the early 1900s and played in the Negro Leagues for 25 years. When he was 44 years old, he struck out 27 Kansas City Monarchs in a 1-0 victory And later that year beat young rookie Satchel Paige 1-0 in their only matchup. Smokey Joe Williams was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1999. Fred Oberholzer at a 1-2-3 first. Now the Astros come to the plate. Here's their lineup card. It's brought to you by Jack in the Box. Jose Altuve leads it off. He's at second base tonight for Bo Porter, followed by George Springer in right field. That's been a dynamic 1-2 combo for the Astros. Dexter Fowler's in center field. Jason Castro the catcher. Matt Dominguez bats fifth, plays third. Chris Carter's at first. Alex Presley DHing. Robbie Grossman in left field. Jonathan Villar the shortstop.
30-year-old right-hander Miguel Gonzalez, 3-3 on the year, 4.35 the ERA. He's won his last 2 starts, working 6 innings in each. And in the start prior to that, 7 innings and allowing 2 runs only in each one of those last 3 starts. So Gonzalez comes in pitching pretty darn good baseball.
And he did throw the ball well against the Astros in Baltimore May 10th. Didn't get a decision. Gave up 2 runs in 7 innings, and Baltimore won it in the 10th 5-4. No Gonzalez, who just turned 30. And that was just 3 days ago. Is from Guadalajara, Mexico. Went to junior college in the United States. He is 1-2 on the road with a 5.98 ERA. Jose Altuve is ready to try to extend his hitting streak. It's an 8-game streak. And he goes at the first pitch, pops it up. Second baseman Jonathan Scope underneath. 1 pitch, 1 out for Gonzalez.
Defensively for the Orioles, or the Elite Giants, Steve Pearson left, and center Adam Jones and Nick Markakis in right. Left side of the infield, Manny Machado and J.J. Hardy. On the right, it's Jonathan Scope and Chris Davis. And behind the plate, it's Caleb Joseph.
3 Gold Gloves out there for the Birds. George Springer on an 11-game hitting streak is one of the rages of baseball right now, making the nightly highlight shows. That is strike 1. 268, 10 homers, 29 runs batted in, 7 home runs in the last 7 games for George Springer.
If you read the previews for the games, the first words, George Springer. That's the way the story starts.
During his 11-game hitting streak, he's hit .390. 7 homers, 15 runs batted in the last 7 games, while hitting .407 in those 7. Hits a chop. Miguel Gonzalez handles it and throws him out. 2 down, and it's Dexter Fowler next. A reminder now, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller time later in tonight's game. It's brought to you by Miller Lite. Gonzalez with that 3-3 record. Not the type who will blow a lot of hitters away, although he has good strikeout numbers, 46 strikeouts in 52 innings. And now Fowler. Fowler's a challenge for a pitcher in terms of not walking it. He's thrown 33 bases on balls, 259 average, but a 375 on base percentage for Fowler.
I always like to know why. And you look at that strike zone presented by Dexter Fowler. Why does he draw so many walks? It's a real challenging one for me.
So you don't have an answer?
I have not even close to an answer.
Ground ball to first, fielded by Davis, and both pitchers breeze through the first. No score after 1.
and the Astros. Remember to tweet us your photos using hashtag CSNHFanPhoto. This is for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming broadcast. It's brought to you by AT&T. Brett Oberholzer gets back to work here in the second, who was called up to make a spot start and didn't even know he was starting against Seattle until that morning. He did a nice job allowing just 2 earned runs over 6 innings, and he told me that getting sent down was an opportunity to reevaluate things, get his mental state of mind back. He said that night in Seattle was just about having fun. He said he told himself, whatever happens, just have fun, because he hadn't had fun pitching in a while. Guys.
He pressed the reset button and things went very well, as you indicated last time out. Thanks, Julia, for that. And now as his second inning begins, it's Adam Jones who has been ripping the ball against left-handed pitching. A .457 hitter against southpaws. That's the top batting average in the American League against lefties. And Jones is in the top 10 in hits. He's hitting .289, 6 homers, 29 runs batted in for Adam Jones. In fact, he leads the majors against lefties.
Fun with focus, the best way to play this game, in my opinion. Work as hard as you can and then let it fly in the game.
That swing was not a very good one on the curveball for strike one. You see the percentage of groundouts for Obi. Just about even ground balls and fly ball outs for the year. And that works for strike two. So 0-2, that gives him some options here on Adam Jones.
Free swinger out in front on 2 off-speed pitches.
Jones was 1 for 4 in last night's game. Picked up his 1,000th career hit back in mid-April. Gold Glove. And a guy who's in that cleanup spot, so the Orioles consider him to be one of their really most important players. He was an all-star last year and won a Gold Glove for the 3rd time in his career. Won a Silver Slugger as well. And he reached for that one a little bit, staying alive at a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
If you can call that staying alive.
Ouch. Yeah, you know you're alive when you do that.
Yeah, that'll beat you up.
He's going to get some assist. Oh, he's really hurting. Hobbling away from home plate.
Foul tip comes up and wreaks havoc. Well, is Buck trying to hold back a laugh, or
he might be, because sometimes guys make humorous remarks when they're in these circumstances.
It is true. It is true.
You, of course, have never heard any of those.
No,
right?
not a bit. Yeah, you wonder, is somebody out there attending to you amused, concerned, or just having a grand old time at your expense?
Well, everybody understands, so he's granted additional time to regroup.
I feel fine now, I think.
Oh, boy. Yeah, those guys have been there a little bit. There's Jesse Crane, uniform for the Astros there, with his hand scraped over the railing next to Carlos Corcoran, trying to make it back from his off-season surgery. And he's come in to continue his throwing program. And I think he's going to stay with the big league club for a while now, Ash.
Well, he's throwing now and getting on a hill, and so I think now is probably the right time to get with Brent Strom and try to get himself ready for a rehab.
That's fouled away. And good news on Mark Appel, who now has finished his work in Florida, headed for Lancaster, where he will be the starter tomorrow night for the Lancaster Jethawks. That appendectomy really put him behind in spring training, and he had to go back down to Florida, build up again. We thank Bo Porter for that excellent job of voicing over that piece earlier on our telecast on the Negro Leagues. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That was nice.
He is certainly among those who are extremely aware of the history of this sport and the Negro Leagues, and we'll have the president of the Negro League Museum on with us later to talk more about some of those top players. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
And our guys did a great job with it.
They did. I think the players enjoy wearing these uniforms. Ground ball, and that's extra bases for Jones. It kicks out towards center field. Robbie Grossman has to come in for it. Jones legging it out for a double. His 11th two-base hit of the year. And naturally, after whacking one off the groin area, he had to run hard to second base.
Yeah, that's one of those times where a strikeout wouldn't have been all that bad an option, but
right.
It tends to go this way.
Hit it sharply past Matty Deeb.
Adam Jones just simply has the wheels to leg this one out. Some other guys might find themselves in trouble on that one.
So the Birds have a man in scoring position. They scored only 1 run on 7 hits last night. They had only 1 extra base hit, and that was a double by Pierce last night. Chris Davis at 237 with 7 homers has driven in 25, trying to snap an 0 for 15. Altuve has shifted out into shallow right field on Davis. And this one goes way up. Left fielder Robbie Grossman in for it. Cannon shot. 1 out.
That looked about like the Springer home run the other day, the day game in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Just a towering fly ball.
That was towering. J.J. Hardy comes up. Hardy with a 296 average, no homers, has driven in 13. He has a very good batting average with men in scoring position, 370. Now has an opportunity with Jones at second and 1 out. Altuve is keeping the runner close. Not far from second base. There's strike 1 to Hardy. Hardy has played well defensively again so far this year. And in fact, Hardy leads the Orioles in batting average with men in scoring position. And a turn back towards second. Adam Jones is 3 for 3 in base stealing this year. And it would be very big if he could get to third with 1 out. He was 14 for 17 in base stealing last year. Good pickup there by Castro out of the dirt.
Brownie, you talk about the defense of J.J. Hardy at shortstop, the most demanding of all positions. 2 years ago, 2012, he played in 158 games, made 6 errors. At that position, that's just that's amazing.
It really is. Good change of speeds. That makes it 1-2 on Hardy. Hardy drove in 76 last year.
Changeup is a big part of things here in the early goings.
It really is. Hardy is hitting .341 with 2 strikes in the count this year, although he has not gone deep. Getting some big hits. There's a shot, and by Matt Dominguez on through into left field. Jones coming to third. He's going to be sent in. Robbie Grossman throws into second, and the Orioles lead it 1-0. Sharply hit ball. It stayed under Dominguez's glove, and Hardy made solid contact with 2 strikes for an RBI single. His 14th run batted in.
Now, for a ball to get by Matt Dominguez like this, you know it's scalded him. But once it gets by, there was a lot of work to be done by Adam Jones, who had to freeze and actually move back toward the bag at second. But sprinting it around the bag at third, and his teammates they're going to console him, I'm sure, at this point.
Now it's Manny Machado batting. 216 with 2 homers and a .555 OPS. Not the numbers he put up last year, but he's had slow going coming back from a knee injury and taking strike 1 there. Machado was 0 for 4 in last night's game. Jones home with the first run of the game. Machado's just 21. He drove in 71 last year for the Orioles. This one's in the air to right field. George Springer a few steps back, now coming in. 2 down. It's Jonathan Scope next. Orioles are 9th in runs scored in the American League. They have some bashers on their club. But they are missing Matt Wieters right now. He's on the disabled list with an elbow problem, just trying to rehab the elbow, and not undergo surgery. He's on a throwing program now.
I would call this a rather important night for the Astros. A number of their players to play in the spotlight, national attention going on, and I think it's good for the development of the player.
Gets by Castro, and Hardy advances to second base.
Not sure what happened right here. Just watching straight down to the field. Jason didn't go down at all. Just thought he was going to pick it. It's pass ball.
It's a pass ball for Castro. And the count's 1-0 on Jonathan Scope from Willemstad, Curacao. Scope had 14 major league at-bats with the Orioles last year. Played most of the year at Norfolk, their AAA club. Has some good power. It's rolled out to shortstop for VR. And on over to Carter. 1-run scoring on 2 hits and a man left. Baltimore 1, Houston 0. Satchel Paige, one of the all-time great pitchers in baseball history. The Kansas City Monarchs for so many years before moving along to Major League Baseball. Commissioner Bud Selig joins us tonight in the booth. We're so pleased to have you here in Houston, and we don't get to see you very often. But before we get started, just on the basis of thanking you for the fans and all of us who have known you a little bit from a distance down through all these years, this is your final year as commissioner, and thank you so much for what you've done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm delighted to be here. This has been a very emotional day, but I'm also visiting all 30 ballparks and all 30 organizations, and I have a lot of fond memories of Houston, so it is a pleasure to be here.
And of course, you've been a great student of baseball history down through the years. Jason Castro, the batter now, and the Negro League's part in Major League Baseball. Jackie Robinson and the great Black Stars coming into Major League Baseball and opening the doors for so many of these outstanding stars we see today.
Well, it was, when you think back, I've often said that Jackie Robinson's coming to the big leagues was the most important and powerful moment in baseball history. And really, in American history, when you think of what happened after 1947 and how it led to so many other things, it's a great story we ought to be very proud of. And Branch Rickey did a remarkable thing, to say the least.
You've spoken down through the years about baseball as an agent for social change, and that's where nights like tonight come into focus.
Oh, the whole day. Baseball is a social institution. There's no question about it. And the Jackie Robinson thing proves of all the other things we we play a great role in society, and hopefully a very productive one. And today, just sitting there at the luncheon and then talking to my friends Henry Aaron and Frank Robinson. This has really been an emotional day for them, and I'm proud of baseball. By the way, proud of the Astros, who've done a marvelous job. I can't tell you how good.
Castro, the deep drive. Adam Jones back for it, and there's out number one. And now as you make this final tour around, I'm sure it's kind of a wistful feeling for you this year.
It hasn't hit me yet. I'm sure it will be. Yes, I mean there's no question. And many people have asked me how I'll be next January 25th and 6th, and I'm sure emotionally. I've been in baseball now over 50 years, so all my adult life actually. So I'm sure that it will be, but I'm very comfortable with my decision. I'm going to be 80 years old July 30th, so I think it's time for me to move on.
I didn't realize that. Matt Dominguez flares one, and there's Sculp back for the catch, out number two. As you look back during your period as commissioner, and there have been so many important decisions, so many developments. One thing is the tremendous construction boom in all these major league ballparks, and they're great ballparks.
Well, there's a lot of reasons that the last 10 years have been the best attended years in baseball history by far. And this is going to be a big one this year. But the new ballparks have certainly played a role. Just look at this. I mean, this is remarkable. And so I feel there are a lot of things, labor, peace, a lot of things have contributed to it. But certainly the new ballparks certainly have.
What is your proudest achievement of your tenure?
I think the economic reformation of the game. It was very difficult in the 90s. There were a lot of franchises, including this one, who really couldn't win under this shape. And I remember I appointed a Blue Ribbon Committee, George Will, Senator Mitchell, Paul Volcker, the head of the Fed, and Rick Levin, the president of Yale, who was an accomplished economist. And they called me in the second meeting. They were very independent, but they wanted me to know that we had a problem. And I said to them, I know we have a problem. That's why you guys are here. But we have changed it. And today, we have more competitive balance than ever before in our history by far. And in the last 10 years, 26 of our 30 teams have made the playoffs. And while the system isn't perfect, we've made a lot of progress.
Towering pop-up, and the young catcher Joseph watches the third baseman Machado make the play. Commissioner Bud Selig, thank you so much, not only for being on with us tonight, but for the tremendous achievements you have brought to Major League Baseball.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to see both of you, and great to be here.
Thanks, Commissioner.
1-0 Baltimore.
It's your home for all the stats you'll ever need as you watch the Astros and the Orioles get going. And you can also vote for your player of the game. Your top choice gets shown on TV during Astros postgame live. So that's in-game live at csnhouston.com. And that brings us to our Twitter question, because we're coming across the end of May and there's so many superlatives for the Astros. But if you had a choice, which Astro would be your Astro player of the month for May? And there's so many options. There's Jose Altuve, George Springer, obviously, Dallas Keuchel with his nearly back-to-back-to-back complete games. Just tweet me, Ho Chen CSN. Give me your best reasons. I read the best tweets on TV. Guys?
Howard's been angling for an interview with Wei-Yin Chen, the lefty for Baltimore. Hopefully he'll get that done. Thanks, Howard. It's 1-0 Baltimore. And Caleb Joseph leads it off. The young catcher takes strike one. He's had just 23 at bats so far, an 0.43 average with 1 RBI, but he has been catching Miguel Gonzalez, and he is 1 for 23 as a hitter.
I like these Eagles uniforms, Brownie.
Yeah, good looking, aren't they? Pretty basic, but clean looking. 1-1.
It kind of takes you back to the uniform of yesteryear. Not too far back, but that clean look.
It's ball 2 for Oberholzer. It's a 2-ball, 1-strike count to Caleb Joseph. He made his debut May 7th at Tampa Bay. Came up from AAA Norfolk. And Nick Hundley did the catching last night in the absence of Matt Wieters. Wieters' loss is a substantial one, and the Orioles certainly are hoping to get him back. If they don't, they're missing a lot of offense unless these other guys really step up and do a lot of slugging. Ash.
Wieters just did some throwing today, and though nobody's turning cartwheels, they are excited that at least he's now throwing. That elbow has been such a problem.
Grounded to third, and it's gloved by Dominguez. On over to Carter for the out. Wieters hit 22 homers and drove in 79 runs last year. Nick Markakis will follow. Markakis grounded out from Carter to Oberholzer covering, leading off the game. On this date, Cal Ripken's streak began of consecutive games. We're hearing that Cal is in the ballpark tonight. Haven't seen him yet. So we have a lot of dignitaries in attendance at this game. There's strike one to Markakis.
I'll bet it's hard for Cal Ripken, even to this day, to come to a ballpark and not put on the uni and be ready to play. You play that many games in a row. It's just insane.
That was incredible. Fly ball to center field. Fowler with the grab, 2 down. Well, let's see if we can find some dignitaries in the crowd here. We were looking at a lot of them earlier, and there they are up in the luxury suite. Been a long day for some of these folks. The luncheon earlier today. There's Robin Roberts back in the background. She was among those honored at that Beacon Awards luncheon today. Jim Brown is there. He got an award as well. 2 outs, and it's Steve Pearce now. Ball 1.
There's a dignitary.
Yeah. Nolan's with his grandson Jackson. 2 balls, no strikes. Well, Ash, in just about a week we have the Major League Draft coming up.
Are you ready? Are you?
Yeah, bring it on.
You know who you're picking in that first round?
Yep.
Okay. You're not going to tell us though yet, are you?
Found out today from Jim Callis of Baseball America.
Oh, well then you got it straight. Well, not from the horse's mouth.
He guessed, but nobody really knows. And the thing Jim Callis said, he was on Charlie Palillo 790 radio this afternoon in Houston. Charlie asked him, he said, well, the Houston organization is as secretive as any I have ever dealt with, so it's tough to guess what they're going to do. There's a shot, and Altuve's there to gobble it up. And that's a 1-2-3 third. 1-0 Baltimore.
A 1-0 lead over the Astros. Hey, every Thursday home game at Minute Maid Park this season is Dollar Dog Thursday, and the next Dollar Dog Thursday is next Thursday against the Angels. For tickets, call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com. Hank Aaron is in town, and in 1952, the skinny 18-year-old signed with the Indianapolis Clowns of the Negro Leagues for $200 a month, where he played short and batted cleanup. He weighed only 180 pounds back then, guys. Batted .366 that year with 5 home runs.
Great story, Julia. And Commissioner Bud Selig, of course, a longtime friend of Hank Aaron, who came up with those Braves. There's ball 1 in Milwaukee. Alex Presley with 3 homers, 8 runs batted in, has a .244 batting average.
Can you imagine seeing Hank Aaron in those days? Seeing him hit 5 home runs and thinking, this guy is going to be the all-time home run king in Major League Baseball.
No. Presley was 0 for 2 with 2 walks last night. He had a close play in the 8th inning. He was thrown out by the second baseman Flaherty last night. He said, well, he knew he was out. Bo Porter went out and chose not to challenge the call because he got word from the video room that it wasn't going to be worth a challenge. 1 and 2. But Commissioner Bud Selig deserves credit for the replay challenge process being brought into Major League Baseball this year as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. There have been glitches, but it's going to get better. And I think we all feel like we could name some ways that it could be polished up a little bit.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Presley. Miguel Gonzalez last year was 11 and 8. The year before 9 and 4. So he's had some very good games for the Orioles. He started with the Angels, then he was with Boston. Out to shortstop, and J.J. Hardy takes care of out number 1.
Time now to check our minor league report presented by your local Honda dealer. And we look at Michael Feliz, who at Quad Cities, 5 no-hit innings, 8 strikeouts, just 1 walk. That is a pretty good night for a right-handed pitcher. And then, of course, there's Carlos Correa at Lancaster, the high A club, hitting .315 now, 44 RBIs. Second best in the Cal League. Keep in mind, he was hurt for a little while, so Carlos Correa is really dealing. Then all reports say this guy can absolutely play this game.
Paul White, who's the editor of Sports Weekly, is here in Houston, and he has recently seen the Lancaster club. 141 for Robbie Grossman with 2 homers. Robbie's driven in 6. He was raving about Correa and his teammates, and he said, boy, that team loaded with talent. 2 balls, no strikes, and he was there when Mark Appel arrived. So they just got another big talent boost with Appel scheduled to go tomorrow night. It's in the air and foul and out of play. 2 balls, 1 strike. Check what's going on with the minor league clubs. Oklahoma City tied for first. Tony DeFrancesco has returned after cancer treatments to take over the reins. Corpus Christi's in 3rd place with Lancaster in 1st at 33-22. Quad City's a game above 500. The short season teams begin play later. After the draft, which will be next Thursday, this pop-up sends Machado back. And it's 2 outs, and that is 8 in a row set down by Gonzalez. Well, we had the commissioner on. The count went to 3-0 on Carter, and Carter fouled out. And so Miguel Gonzalez is clicking so far tonight.
Could Manny Machado make a pop-up look any easier?
Not really.
3.
You know, some guys give you no confidence whatsoever when they go back that they're going to catch that ball, right? He's from the other school.
Oh, my. Like he's going to take a nap during the middle of the thing.
Now Jonathan Villar trying to snap an 0 for 25. 196, 5 homers. He's driven in 16. Bo Porter said he is not about to bench Jonathan Villar because of that low batting average, as long as he continues to make the plays at shortstop. He said he will mix in Marwin Gonzalez from time to time.
But that conversation also includes the tool set that Jonathan Villar possesses. It really is rare, and you hope that he can bring it all to fruition. We saw glimpses last year. Very good offensively.
2 balls and a strike.
I feel like maybe he's gotten a little more pull conscious this year, especially from the left side of the plate. That guy has done a great job as that utility player.
And because he has done so well, that's why the question came up for Bo. Hey, Marlins playing well. Marlins hitting .300, playing a good brand of shortstop, but no. VR still maintains his position as the starting shortstop. And bunts, but fouls it. Now, a couple of times this year he's run up and tried to bunt, but he's run up out of the batter's box and he's been called out.
You know, if you watched a tryout camp, you're going to see certain guys that really jump out for you. I would contend that Jonathan VR would be one of those guys. And therefore, I think because of the tools, you have to kind of carry on a little further. There's no way to treat an umpire when you've got the full night ahead of you.
We'll work on the mask.
Not a bad idea for a catcher to try to help out a little bit. Some close pitches. Hey, you remember me? I'm the guy that was helping you with the mask.
Foul ball. That keeps the count at 3-2. It was Gonzalez who lost to Oberholzer last July, 11-0. Brett got his first major league win in Baltimore. Gonzalez is 1-1 against Houston with a 3.78 ERA in his career. Astros stole 4 bases against him earlier this month in Baltimore. Now they get their first base runner as VR walks on the 3-2 offering. He could be doing some running here with 2 outs. Altuve, the batter.
I think you're dead on right there. I think this is, if you have the idea, the inclination to run whatsoever, this is a great time to do it. If you fail, start out your next inning with your leadoff man.
Altuve swung at the first pitch and popped it up. So his batting average on balls in play is .344. That's considered way above average. So the regression to the mean would bring him down probably about 25 points from where he is now, if that happens to him this year.
That's got to be a big hit song somewhere, isn't it? The regression to the mean.
Yeah. It certainly is. Front offices, you know it is. You see those guys coming in the morning.
I'll bet that tune gets played occasionally.
6 in the morning, they all chime in with a chorus of regression to the mean. A shot up the right field line. It's slicing and into the seats. Strike 1 to Altuve. He is mostly a pull hitter, but he has the knack of being able to steer the ball to right field.
Does he ever? You give him a pitch away and leave him no option, he'll hit it that way with some of the best in the game. At other times, you give him a pitch up like this, and it looked like he just was tomahawking through the baseball, driving it down the line.
And the throw goes over. VR with 11 steals in 12 tries has a good motor. The Orioles have not been very successful at throwing out base stealers. There have been 38 steals against them, and only 9 have been caught.
I was watching Caleb Joseph throw between innings, and he throws well from behind the plate.
He has thrown out 4 of 10. No balls, 2 strikes. Just about any catcher would take that. 40%.
Oh, yeah, that is quite good. It's been a while since VR has picked up a stolen base. The last one coming on May 18th.
Might be about the last time he's been on base.
Yeah, that's the problem. You're not getting on base, you're not going to steal a whole lot of bags.
Little jam shot rolling out to second. Scope with the scoop, and it's out number 3. No runs, no hits, and a man left after 3. 1-0 Birds.
chance to win awesome Astros prizes. From autographed baseballs to game day tickets and more. Just tweet at CSN Houston, hashtag CSN Baseball Sweeps, and you could win Houston Astros prizes now through May 31st from CSN.
Thank you, Julia. Orioles 1, Astros nothing as we head for inning number 4 here at Minute Maid Park in Houston. Good night to just hang out. It looks like there might be some rain coming out there in the distance. That is the forecast. And we have had a ton of that in the last week, but more on the way.
Robert Orion in camp.
Okay. Nelson Cruz takes a look at it. It's strike one. Orioles scored on a hardy RBI single in the second after Jones had doubled. Cruz grounded out his first time up after working the count to 3-1. He's been quite an investment for the Birds this year. They signed him for $8 million. No balls, 2 strikes. Well, according to Jim Callis of Baseball America, the Astros will draft left-handed pitcher Brady Aiken of Cathedral Catholic High School in San Diego next Thursday night.
That's probably the name that I've most heard here in the last month or two. Rare to go for the high school kid, but when he's polished, left-handed, and throws hard, that's something maybe special.
Good combination. There's a looping hit in front of Fowler over into center field, and Cruz takes his hitting streak to 11 games now. Cruz is on with that leadoff single here in the 4th, and Jones will follow.
There's a catcher out in California, I believe, that's drawing a lot of attention. High school kid.
Alex Jackson of Rancho Bernardo High School in Escondido, California. Projected to be an outstanding hitter. He may project more as an outfielder than as a catcher.
Well, that's Bryce Harper. I mean, he was a high school catcher that projected that way.
Very good point, Ash. Adam Jones double to left field past Matt Dominguez. You know, and that begs the question about catchers being converted because of the fear of concussion type injuries. Will the best hitters no longer be allowed to catch?
Give me time to respond to that.
There's ball one. Well, you've seen Joe Mauer move out from behind the plate to first base for the Minnesota Twins this year.
And it hasn't just been this year. And you look at his numbers of games caught in recent years, they have dwindled, but he can still swing the bat.
Carlos Santana is no longer catching for Cleveland.
Guy that maybe wasn't as good a catcher as people thought initially.
1 ball, 1 strike. Some of the other top names under consideration, according to Jim Callis of Baseball America, in addition to Brady Aiken, are Tyler Kolek, the right-hander from Shepherd, Texas High School, Carlos Rodon, the left-hander from North Carolina State, and the aforementioned Alex Jackson. So 3 of those 4 guys are high school players. Interesting. Carter goes into foul ground for this one over near the stands and takes care of it.
Comcast Business takes you inside the game as we look at Obi's curveball and see what he's been doing with this pitch. In the orange last year, the blue this year, you can see that he's just coming along with that curveball, using it more, enjoying it more. You have to also consider the changeup with Brent. He's real good. He's one of those guys as a youngster who's learned to pitch with everything, and that curveball is obviously a huge key for him.
Chris Davis might see that pitch right here. Davis hit a fly ball to left field first time up. Infield shifts around, playing him to pull. He does not see the curve there, and it's strike 1. .301 batting average on balls in play for Davis. Still coming back from that injury, strained oblique. He was on fire this time a year ago. In the dirt, and it's 1-1.
19 home runs the first 2 months of the year, and you think, well, okay, that's got to taper off. Well, he hit 12 in the month of June to follow it up.
he was just absolutely unstoppable. He wound up with 53 homers, 138 runs batted in, led the league in total bases with 370. Altuve gets it to VR. VR guns it on to Carter for a 4-6-3 double play. And it's no runs a hit, nobody left. 1-0 Baltimore.
Orioles lead here early on, just 3 hits in the game and all picked up by Baltimore. George Springer has been a phenomenon here as he has launched home runs all over the place, even in rainbows, as he hit a pair up in Seattle. George Springer, you look at the basics of this swing and they're kind of off the charts with all of his tools, his strength, everything that goes with it, and his joy of the game. He hit some bombs in Kansas City, a big ballpark, no doubt shots, and then he hit this towering shot that also got out. But even when he misses it, he's got a chance. Then last night, just reaching down on a good breaking ball, launching a 2-run job, that was the margin of difference in the game, and that's really been the margin of difference in a lot of these wins now for the Astros, what George Springer is bringing.
So there you have it, an 828 OPS, a 1.4 WAR for George Springer for 150 at-bats. And now he takes this one for strike one, leading off the home 4th inning after grounding out to the pitcher Gonzalez earlier. 7 homers in the last 7 games for George Springer since May 21st. That's more than 14 teams have hit in Major League Baseball. So he's Babe Ruthian right now, and what he's been doing over that stretch of games.
I was just going to say that. And Babe Ruth, of course, did that where he'd have a season hitting more than other teams hit around baseball. But, yeah, George is starting to kind of become that guy.
And there's a big cut. 1 and 2.
Yeah, and make no mistake, and I've said it numerous times, he's still going to have his struggles. There will be the ruts to go with the grooves that he gets in, but his grooves are going to be mighty impressive.
Pretty groovy grooves.
I think you can say that safely, not without a little bit of a smile on your face, maybe.
25 runs batted in this month, 3rd. And the curveball finds him not biting, 2 and 2.
Impressive that you can take the kind of swing he takes and then lay off that pitch out of the zone.
Well, he's been hitting 7 homers in the last 7 games since May 21st. The Royals have hit 2 and the Yankees have hit 3. That's to left field. Pierce backing and on the track. 1 out.
Yeah, that's just missing it right there. And you know what's running through his head. He's thinking, oh, man, did I just miss one. See where it gets in on the barrel. There's just no mistake. And yet this ball travels to the warning track out there in left center a bit. Great positioning of the arms and the hands.
Well, he has a media contingent waiting for him every time he goes to his locker now. Dexter Fowler, the batter. He grounded out to first earlier. And that's a part of what he's doing, too, handling that media contingent on a daily basis.
Yeah, he is. Look at the fans in the seats right now. We are starting to see some George Springer effect. And, of course, it's winning effect, but George is bringing a lot of that.
Good crowd here tonight for the civil rights game. Change up, and Fowler looks at it. It's 1-1. Fowler has that great ability to know exactly where that strike zone is, and he takes a lot of close pitches.
There are some guys who take a lot of close pitches, and I think Robbie Grossman has fallen in that category at times, and the pitches get called strikes. So there's always seems to be a little something extra to that guy who doesn't have great power but yet draws a lot of walks.
That one got away from Miguel Gonzalez. The count goes to 2-2. Fowler has taken a look at about 900 pitches this year, including this game. He's 12th in the American League in pitches seen this season. And he's missed a few games, too. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. This is what he does as well. He stretches out and at bat. And last year and the year before, the Astros simply did not have players who do what he's doing now. Whatever they did, it usually was, 3 pitches in the bat, something like that. Now he's worked the count full. Well, Bull Porter has Altuve, Springer, Fowler. These top 3 have really worked in concert with each other, and they've made it rough on the pitchers. The Orioles starters have been disappointing, Ash. They are 12th in ERA, 4.60 this year.
I think coming in, that was the question mark about the Orioles. They led the league in home runs as a club last year, and you figure at some point they're going to catch on because Chris Davis has missed a lot of time, and there are a lot of home runs missing on their slate because of Davis not playing. But they're going to hit a bunch of bombs, especially in that ballpark in Baltimore. Can they pitch?
Foul tip strikeout. That's the first of the night for Gonzalez.
Whether you're treating employees, hosting clients, or bringing out your church or youth sports team to Minute Maid Park, Astros Group tickets will create an experience your group is sure to remember. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com to enjoy special pricing and great benefits by reserving your group today.
Jason Castro hit a fly ball to center field in the second inning. He's second on the club and runs batted in. The shift is on, and he's hit by the pitch. They continue to pound him inside. That went too far inside, and he's on with 2 outs.
I think Jason Castro might be taking a little umbrage to the number of pitches that have been close to his body or on the body this year.
It's the 7th time he's been drilled.
Looked like a little frustration in tossing the shin guard away.
Yeah. Well, he's seen this pattern time after time. Dominguez hit a fly ball to right. Strike 1 to Matty D. There's Carter on deck. The Astros are looking for their first hit. They've had a walk and a hit batsman. The Orioles are 13th in earned run average in the American League. In the dirt, this one gets away from Joseph and allows the advance of Castro to second base on a wild pitch.
It's not the breaking ball, and therefore you see catchers late or never getting to their knees. Just kind of jam that pitch in the ground, and it's pure luck. Quite frankly, you use the glove on that fastball or change.
Now, man in scoring position, and Dominguez has delivered at a pretty good rate in these situations. And that misses for ball 2. But as a team, the Astros are getting a puny 156 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, and that's the worst figure in the American League. Special bases for the civil rights game, of course. The Astros have won 6 in a row. The last time they won more than 6 in a row was back in 2010 when they had a 7-game winning streak. They did win 6 in a row last year, just about a year ago. And Alan Ashby and Jeff Blum padded their win totals for the year on that 6-game winning streak on the road trip to Colorado and Anaheim.
We were red hot, Brownie. Then we got slowed down a bit.
Baseball's a game of streaks, Ash.
Yeah, and right now the Astros are streaking in the right direction.
They've won 12 of 18. The Orioles have lost 12 of 18. Strike 2. Looks like it might be a little high, but Mark Wegner rings it up, and it's a full count on Domingo. Took 1 step toward first.
It was that hanging breaking ball up and in, and that's a pitch that when Matty D is on with the stick, he's taking a big hack on.
Foul ball. We had a nice chat with Commissioner Bud Selig after we went to commercial at the end of that inning, and I really think he's observed so many changes in his decades as the commissioner of baseball, but many of them have sent this sport in a totally different direction. We did not get a chance to talk about the international popularity of baseball, and things are certainly headed even further in that direction after he turns it over to a successor in the future. Out to left center field. Castro will not be able to get home as the diving catch is made by Pearson left. And he robs Dominguez to end the 4th inning. No runs, no hits. A sparkler by Pierce keeps the Orioles in front, 1-0. Has ever seen. A 12-time All-Star and 2-time Negro Leagues World Series champion, he was considered the power hitting equal to Babe Ruth in his time. With a lifetime average of .359 and career slugging percentage of .648, Josh was credited with more than 800 home runs in a 17-year playing career. Josh Gibson was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1972. That's the Negro League Museum in Kansas City, Missouri. And the president, will be joining us a little later, Bob Kendrick.
Makes me think a bit of Roy Campanella, who was such a great catcher and hitter and came on with the Dodgers.
Orioles 1, Astros nothing. We go to the 5th. Absolutely. J.J. Hardy has driven in the only run in this game with a single to left. And there's strike one to Hardy.
Don Newcomb, one of the guys that made the transition and did it so well.
Yes, he did. Overholzer bounces that one, 1-1. So 6 men in the Astros starting rotation. And there is a day off Monday. After that, the Astros will pare down to 5 men in the starting rotation. Brad Peacock certainly pitched well last night. 6 innings, 1 run allowed. It's a smash and backhanded by Matt Dominguez. 1 out. Who's not going to be in the rotation?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I know which way I would go with my guess. I won't venture that guess on the air, but suffice it to say, I wouldn't be surprised if the Astros try to keep a couple of left-handers in the rotation.
I would expect one of these starters to go to the bullpen. And not back down to AAA. Manny Machado hit a fly ball to right field. Rolled out to second base. Altuve on first, 2 out.
Well, for me, I would think that's a given, but I don't know. I've been surprised many times before.
Well, the Astros currently have a 12-man pitching staff. There's a pitching coach, Brent Strom, with Rex Jones. They could add a long man to that bullpen alignment. Jerome Williams is considered a long man right now. So that would give them 2. And will give them another pitcher in ready reserve in case one of the starters does have to miss a start.
The question I would have with that thought in mind is the way the starting pitching's been going recently, pitching so well. Do you have a need for 2 long guys in the pen?
That's a very good question. Right now, it would seem that you don't. Starting pitchers have a 3.11 ERA in the last 24 games since May 5th. That is outstanding. You could certainly make a very strong point that the Astros starting rotation is much better than the Orioles starting rotation right now.
I think you have a rather easy argument for the moment to make there.
Dominguez takes care of out number 3. 3 more ground ball outs in the 5th for Oberholzer. 1-0 Orioles.
time to introduce you to our progressive fan of the game. I'm with Isaac over here next to the Insperity Club with his wonderful family that you have. Isaac, a Houston firefighter, but you're also a member of the Houston Black Firefighters Association. And you went to the luncheon today, the Beacon Awards. How was that?
It was fantastic. It was a wonderful honor and a privilege to attend the Beacon Awards today. I had a great time.
Well, I know you don't come to many Astros games, but you were coming to this one. Why was it important for you and your family to come?
You know, people like, Jackie Robinson, who globally, took a stand, just not MLB. I mean, it was a global stance. And, people like Hank Aaron and Frank Robinson, who I was able to see today, who I admire. It was a great, great privilege, a great time that I had today.
You want your girls to see this, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Beautiful twin girls. Enjoy the game, Isaac. Thank you very much. Browning.
Thanks, Julia. Towering pop off the bat of Chris Carter, and there was the grab out in shallow center field by Jonathan Scope, one out. That's twice. Carter has skied balls here in this ballpark. Good look at the family there. One of those special nights. And a chance to tell the kids a little bit about history.
And of course, what you hope is that the kids latch on to something at the ball game, and it becomes important to them.
Yes. Alex Presley's the batter. He bounced out to short in the third inning. That is strike one. These two teams have played some close games. Baltimore won a couple of close ones in Baltimore. The Astros getting one last night, 3-1. Their figures against each other for the season series are almost identical. Not a whole lot of offense. And the shortstop, Hardy, moves over. 2 down.
Time now for the AT&T Rewind. We go back to Robbie Grossman, July 31st of last year in Baltimore against Gonzalez. And he found, did Robbie Grossman, Utah Street out there. He's got a plaque now, a 2-run shot. He was the 9-hitter in that ball game. And that really jump-started the remainder of his year. He hit 4 home runs on the year. That was a bomb. And he came back from AAA swinging a much more lethal bat.
Popped to third earlier in this game. That was the game Overholzer won against Gonzalez, 11-0 in Baltimore last year. Strike one on a breaking pitch to Robbie. This fly ball heads for left field, and Pierce is underneath it. Gonzalez has 5 no-hit innings in the book. This civil rights game with a 1-0 Baltimore lead. Astros baseball is brought to you by AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PICK-ATT. Rethink possible. And by Toyota. Your chance to save on a Corolla ends June 2nd. hurry to buyatoyota.com. Great looking old uniforms there displayed in the Negro League Hall of Fame Museum. 1-0 the Orioles lead the Astros. The Astros do not have a hit through 5 in this civil rights game. As we look back at the variety of uniforms they wore back in those days.
I think we need to get back to flannels. That's what I'm going to start pushing.
No.
It's not about comfort for the players.
I think they all ought to have to wear them one day.
That'll make you appreciate those who have gone before you.
Exactly. Caleb Joseph is the batter. 3 hits for Baltimore. Oberholzer paints the outside corner. There's strike 1 on Joseph, who grounded to third earlier. Cleveland leads Colorado 5-2. They're in the top of the 7th in Cleveland. Fouled away, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. Twins lead the Yankees 4-1 at Yankee Stadium. They're in the 8th. Mets and Phillies tied 5-5 in the 7th. Phillies are going to be an interesting team to watch to see if they can hang in the race or whether they try to unload a lot of those older players. 2 contending teams down the stretch. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's a dilemma, I think, when you've got a club that has Ryan Howard, who is declining, and others on that club. Clearly, I mean, they've got a star-studded cast, but that cast is getting older.
Exactly.
And do you keep giving your fans that cast, or do you change things up and go younger? And I think it's a really tough decision.
It really is. Currently they're in last place, but only 4 games behind the co-leaders in the NL East, Atlanta and Miami, and they happen to be playing each other. Tonight it's 3-2 Atlanta in Miami, bottom of the 8th inning. Fouled away. Kansas City leads 6-1 at Toronto. They're in the bottom of the 8th inning. Toronto was dealt a setback last night, ending the 9-game win streak for the Blue Jays, but they are in the lead by 2.5 over the Yankees. Baltimore in third, 4.5 behind in the AL East right now.
So some people say 54 games in, you know what's kind of going to happen in baseball.
Really? George Springer in. Well, the pennant races just began, right, on Memorial Day, so we can now start paying attention.
Have they actually begun yet?
That's out number 1.
Consider the changes that have taken place in Septembers in years gone past, recent years.
Yeah.
In the final weeks of September.
Oh, yeah, you better be watching every day in September lately in Major League Baseball. Markakis is 0 for 2. The left-handed hitters are hitting .255 against Oberholzer.
Where did the Astros sit on this date in 2005 when they went to the World Series ultimately?
Really far behind the leaders.
And I think they had a couple of back-to-back years there where they came from nowhere.
Yeah. Well, they started 15 and 30.
Yeah, that won't build many leads.
They rose from the dead after the Houston Chronicle published that article with the tombstones on the front of the sports page that year.
I remember one of those, 1986. Team that won by about 10 games.
Did they do tombstones for you guys that year also?
Well, no, they didn't. But one of the esteemed sports guys in town who has become a politician in recent years. But that guy did a nail in the coffin, last nail in the coffin, kind of a bit after 2 days into the season after the team went 0-2. So yeah, you run into that sort of thing.
Were you guys panicking there?
Oh, it scared me to death. Yeah, I figured, we've lost 2 games. There's not a chance of winning one.
Markakis is down on strikes. Oh, they buzzed him upstairs for strikeout number 1.
See some of the brightest upcoming stars in baseball as the Corpus Christi Hooks take on the San Antonio Missions right here at Minute Maid Park. That's Tuesday, June 10th. Get your tickets today by calling 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit Astros.com.
Oberholzer hanging in this 1-0 game. Steve Pearce has grounded twice to shortstop. This one goes to third, and Matt Dominguez makes it. A 1-2-3 6th inning, and it's still 1-0 Baltimore.
Orioles on top. This moment in history is brought to you by MD Anderson, making cancer history. May 17th of 1954, the Brown versus Board of Education decision was reached that declared school segregation laws to be unconstitutional and called for school segregation across the country. Earlier today, special tribute was paid to the 60th anniversary of this landmark decision, as well as the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
And Bob Kendrick joins us, as he did last night, president of the Negro League Museum in Kansas City. But it was a 1-2-3 inning last night. It was all too fast, Bob.
5 pitch, man. I hardly had a chance to say good evening.
Well, good evening to you. And you're such a wealth of information about the Negro Leagues. It's only appropriate that we have you on as Jonathan Villar takes strike one. And such a great place to visit there in Kansas City, Missouri. But we're talking, we've been giving these vignettes all night long about the great stars of the game back in the Negro League era. And this court decision, 1954, Alan Ashby just read us about it. That was the law of the land at that time, but Major League Baseball was preceding that by several years.
Absolutely. And we're proud of the fact that that took place in Topeka, Kansas. Just a stone's throw away from Kansas City.
Yes.
And so when we start talking about civil rights, we don't oftentimes think about the Midwest. But 3 of the most momentous occasions in the civil rights movement: Jackie Robinson's breaking of the color barrier. Jackie plays for the Kansas City Monarchs. He's handpicked from the Monarchs. Brown versus the Board of Education right there in Topeka. President Truman would integrate the military a year after Jackie. Well, Truman is a Kansas City guy. So, the Midwest plays a pivotal role in the civil rights movement, although most people don't associate the Midwest with civil rights.
That's a very good point. J.J. Hardy, tough play with a no-hitter going, and that's a safe call at first, and the no-hitter is broken up on an infield hit by Jose Altuve. Hardy did everything he could to prevent it.
Chris Davis had the big stretch at first base as well. And a bang-bang play. Boy, that's got to be really tough on a first base umpire. Watch Altuve get down the line. He's been doing it all season long. At first step, and he is in full gear. And as a shortstop, anybody defensively, you're trying everything you've got to preserve that no-hit bid. Altuve beats it.
77th hit for the Major League hit leader. And the First hit for the Astros tonight with George Springer batting. Springer 0 for 2. So now the Astros have reached that hit column against Miguel Gonzalez. You know, we talked about these great Negro League stars, and can you just give us an idea? I know they traveled around on old buses from town to town. The living conditions, what they went through, what their pay was at that time, roughly.
You know, really, guys, the challenge for them was traveling the highways and byways of our country, not knowing where they might be able to get a meal or not having a place to stay. And so in those instances, they would sleep on the bus and eat their peanut butter and crackers until they could find a place where they could actually get basic services. That's where the challenge came about. The baseball aspect of it wasn't challenging at all. I mean, obviously, they were playing 2 and 3 games in a day, and they weren't making the same amount of money as they were making in the major leagues, but these men were still making a great living playing the game that they love. And so that, to me, is what makes the story so special, the passion, the perseverance that you will endure. So their mindset was, so be it. If I've got to ride the bus, if I've got to sleep on the bus, eat my peanut butter and crackers, you're not going to stop me from playing ball. And so it was that sheer love of the game that would not only change our sport, but it would change our country for the better. And I think that's the story that is encapsulated inside the greater story of the Negro Leagues.
That's a towering pop by Springer, and it's going to hit the roof in foul territory, which stamps as a foul ball and not in play. Rube Foster from the museum in Kansas City, one of the greats.
Calvert, Texas native. And Rube Foster, guys, was light years ahead of his time. Rube Foster in the 1900s was known to fine his ball players as much as $5 if they were tagged out standing up.
Oh,
you were supposed to slide.
$5.
$5 in the 1900s was a lot of money.
That's got to be $2,000, $3,000 for these guys today.
And Rube would draw a circle on the first base line and a circle on the third base line. And if every one of his players couldn't drop a bunt inside that circle, he would fine them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was adamant about that style of play that was signature to Negro League baseball. Very fast, very aggressive, very daring. So they bunt their way on. They steal second, they steal third. If you weren't too smart, they steal home. It was a much quicker pace to the play in the Negro Leagues than it was in Major League Baseball at that time.
I can assure you I could not have played for Rube Foster.
You would have been broke, eh?
Well, you know, I share that story with a lot of the current Major League managers who come to visit the museum when they end to play the Royals. And I say, well, how much money could we raise if you were fining the guys $5 for not being able to drop that bunt down? He said, you raise a lot of money.
And we saw that he was elected to the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. Now, the black players who have been brought in from the Negro Leagues.
Yes.
Is that the end of this representation? Is there a chance that some more may be added?
I was hopeful, and I remain hopeful, but I think we've seen the end all as it relates to recognition for the Negro. I think the only other player from the Negro League that might have an outside chance is the great Minnie Minoso, because he's still eligible on the, I guess, what is considered the veterans committees, and he got real close the last time. And so Minnie certainly deserves, in my opinion, to be in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Of course, he played for the New York Cubans in the Negro Leagues before getting that opportunity for a tremendous Major League career.
Well, Minnie's probably not done playing yet, though. So you have to wait till he's done playing.
Now, near the end of the Negro Leagues, was there more of a buzz, more of an undercurrent to these players that, hey, somebody's going to break these color lines soon?
You know, it was really interesting having heard some of the guys who played with Jackie in 1945. None of them were thinking about the Major Leagues. I think there had been some rumblings, and, you know, guys like Clark Griffith had talked to Josh Gibson and Buck Leonard well before Branch Rickey made the move to sign Jackie. But I don't think anybody took it seriously, because as an owner, you knew you were going to be ostracized by your peers if you tried to do this.
Altuve steals second base, and ball 3 was thrown to Springer. Altuve leads the American League. That's his 20th steal.
You would be ostracized by your peers if you
tried to be that guy that broke that to bring a black player in. So everybody was a little gun shy. See, all these guys knew that these Negro League players could play. But, you know, Branch Rickey had a little extra fortitude and a little extra gumption that gave him the courage to step out and make what was, even in 1945, an extremely bold move. And then, of course, in 47, when Jackie comes up, they voted 15-1 not to allow Jackie to play. You know, Brooklyn's the only guy that votes for Jackie, and the guy that doesn't get enough credit in the entire equation is the former commissioner, Happy Chandler, who essentially overturned the rule and said that the man is only trying to sign a second baseman, let him play. And of course, that really changed everything in our society for the better.
Who were the guys that were, along with Jackie Robinson, most ready to come and play in the big leagues right then?
There were a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of guys. You know, if you had gone back earlier and gotten a Josh Gibson in his prime, you know, Gibson, by the time Robinson breaks the color barrier, he's sick. He's 35 years old, and he's suffering from a brain tumor. So he's a shell of himself, even though a shell of a Josh Gibson was better than most Major League catchers today. Gibson was tremendous. So if you've gotten a young Josh Gibson or a cool Papa Bell or a Buju Wilson or a Hilton Smith, who's also a Texas guy, you know, one of the greatest pitchers the sport has ever seen. Hilton Smith won 20 games or more, 12 consecutive years. And at that time, he may have been the best pitcher in the major leagues. And so there were stars among stars in the Negro Leagues. Any of them could have been stars in the major leagues had they been given the opportunity. Right here in Houston, you have the great Monty Irvin, who is still with us at age 95. Played for the New York Eagles, who in my estimation is still the greatest living Negro Leagues player. There's no disrespect. Obviously, Hank, Willie, Ernie Banks all played in the Negro Leagues, but they were only there for a short period of time. Monty Irvin was a superstar in the Negro Leagues. And he comes to the major leagues at age 31 and still puts up a tremendous major league career and of course, rightfully is in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. So all of these guys could have been stars. They could have handled the social adversity as well. But, you know, Jackie certainly was the right guy to be the first. You know, because there was no margin for failure on either side. If Jackie can't take the abuse, the experiment is over. If Jackie can't play, the experiment is over. So, you know, there was no margin of error. Branch Rickey had to absolutely have the right guy for this thing to actually be a success. And somehow Jackie, carrying really the weight of an entire race of people, 21 million black folk on his back, and how he played the game so well with such class, grace, and dignity is absolutely incredible.
Second walk for Gonzalez, Burns at first and second.
Who did Jackie have at that time to bounce things off to get the frustrations out with?
You know, really outside of Wendell Smith, who Branch Rickey had hired as a confidant, who was traveling and was rooming with Jackie, he really didn't have anybody except for Mrs. Robinson. You know, and I oftentimes reflect on how strong she had to be, because he never publicly broke down. And she had to sit there and hear these people say these horrible things about her husband. And so they both were pillars in terms of their ability to let that roll off their backs and somehow was able to rise above it. You know, I look at that set of circumstances and I just wonder, you know, how in the world was he able to do that?
Castro the batter now. The Astros looking for a 2-out hit, trailing 1-0. He's 0 for 1. He was hit by a pitch second time up. We talk about that every year, the friendship that Pee Wee Reese showed by putting his arm around Jackie during the game.
Yes, a game in Cincinnati where the Cincinnati fans, I mean, they were lighting him up. They were giving it to him. And Reese goes over, puts his arm around his teammate, and it almost squelched it immediately. Well, Pee Wee Reese was a white Southerner. And so him making that expression, saying that this is wrong, you know, I need to be there with my teammate, and all of a sudden it killed me.
High drive out to right center field. Adam Jones running back. And Jones on the track makes the catch. Bob Kendricks, thank you so much for being with us last night and tonight.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, guys. Great to see you.
Stuff,
looking forward to seeing you in KC.
Thanks. Good luck to you, Bob.
Thank you so much.
1-0 Baltimore.
Orioles up 1-0 on the Astros. And as promised earlier, it's time to reveal our AT&T fan photo of the game. Sean tweets in a picture of two little fans. Love it. Thanks for tweeting in, Sean. Remember to tweet us your photos using hashtag CSNHFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in a broadcast that's brought to you by AT&T. Brownie.
Thank you. That's a great photo, Julia. And a good crowd here tonight watching a 1-0 game through 6. Good pitching duel between Oberholzer and Gonzalez. We just got word that the St. Louis Cardinals are promoting one of their top prospects, outfielder Oscar Taveras, to the Major League club.
That name has been bantied about quite a bit, and so a lot of excitement comes with another youngster coming up.
1-3-0 for Baltimore, 0-1-0 for Houston. Nelson Cruz has one of the 3 hits, a single to center field in the 4th inning. And this one's a foul ball, strike 1. Gregory Polanco, highly touted outfielder for the Pittsburgh Pirates, remains in the minor leagues. There have been a lot of questions asked of the Pirates about why they haven't promoted him. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Orioles scored their run in the 2nd inning, a leadoff double by Jones, and a 1-out single by Hardy, getting that run home. 1 ball, 2 strikes. To hard-hitting Nelson Cruz.
Brad Peacock last night, Brett Oberholzer tonight. Some outstanding pitching with a couple of guys that are no doubt battling to stay in this rotation.
It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. It's been a rotation without a weakness. Middle of the pack in ERA in the American League. Brad Peacock, for the first time, did not walk anybody as a Major League starting pitcher in 6 innings last night. Fly ball near the right field line. George Springer coming over and crossing the foul territory. 1 out.
This Saturday, May 31st, 10,000 fans will receive an orange Jose Altuve jersey. That's from Houston Methodist. First pitch against the Orioles is at 3:10. Get here early to get your Altuve jersey. For tickets, call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com.
The way he's playing, that's going to be an item for the fans tomorrow. The pitching matchup is Dallas Keuchel and Chris Tillman tomorrow at 3:10. Keuchel just off his Player of the Week honors in the American League. He has a shot at being Player of the Month. Plenty of competition, though, for that with the month that Mr. Encarnacion is having, and there are several others, including Mr. Springer. Ball 1 to Jones.
And Nelson Cruz will be among the vote getters. Been quite a month.
Little roller. Obi comes over, and he'll tag Adam Jones. 2 outs. Well, if this is a pitch off between Peacock and Oberholzer, they're in a dead heat.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and then it comes down to preferences. Do you want the extra left-hander? Who sets up best in the bullpen? It's going to be tough.
Astros currently have a 12-man pitching staff. Now the shift is on with Chris Davis coming up for the 3rd time. He's 0 for 2. Alex White, who's rehabbing from an injury, is throwing the ball well for AAA Oklahoma City now. He's had about 4 outings in relief, and he's going to be used in relief this year because of the late start to his season. And he could be about ready to be added to the Astros bullpen core from what we're hearing. Ball 1 to Davis.
Yeah, you're starting to run into the right kind of problems now.
Yeah.
Too many guys qualified and validating themselves to be on this pitching staff, and not enough spots.
We talked last night on the post-game show about last year and the starting rotation and the bullpen, and boy, there's so much more competition for spots this year.
What is Brad Peacock thinking as he sits and watches this game?
Well, he's got to be thinking happy thoughts after what he did last night.
That's the thing. All you can do is what you can take care of, and he's done that. And then you just try to move along. They're holding on to that elbow.
Getting the announcement of the paid attendance tonight, and it is considerable. 38,482. Line shot to center field. Fowler in for it. He does not make the catch. The ball sank on him and looked like he got leather on it but couldn't hold it. Davis must have hit that one on the screws. It may have knuckled, but it was hit hard, and he's aboard with 2 outs.
Fowler had time, had he read this properly, to come on and make the play rather routinely, so he'll get the E.
Actually, they've ruled it a hit.
Oh, did they rule the hit? I'm sorry. Thought I heard the error, but I'm not sure that that was the best of reads from Dexter.
No. Like he froze, and typically outfielders do that when they're not too sure which way, in terms of depth, the ball's going to go, but then that may have cost him. Hardy's 1 for 2. You saw the reaction of Oberholzer there. He was so close to out number 3. And there's strike 1. No problem with pitch count here for Brett at 80 for the game through 6 2/3. It's quite a crowd tonight. 38,482. It's probably the second biggest crowd of the season. Second only to opening day. Softly hit in the air. Altuve's out into shallow center to end it in the top of the 7th. No runs, a hit, and America the Beautiful will be coming your way in this 1-0 game in the 2nd.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, to honor our great nation and the freedoms it affords us every day, as part of our 2014 Civil Rights Game, please give a warm welcome to Grammy-nominated R&B legend Jeffrey Osborne as he sings America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of gray, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plains. America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
7 here at Minute Maid Park. It's 1-0 Orioles. Astros, Dynamo, Rockets, and more. We have all your sports news covered. Check out Sportsnet Central every night at 6, 10, and midnight on Comcast Sportsnet. The boys in the booth have been talking about Satchel Paige becoming the oldest rookie in Major League history, and of course the first Negro League player in the Hall of Fame, said to be one of the greatest arms that ever played the game. And the story I learned at the Negro Leagues Museum earlier this week, Cleveland Indians needed a pitcher, and the owner gave Paige a tryout, and he laid a cigarette on the ground, told him to think of it as home plate. Paige reportedly threw 4 out of 5 fastballs right over that cigarette. And then he made his Major League debut on his 42nd birthday. That was 1948. And would always quote Mark Twain, "Age is a question of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter, guys."
That was ball 1 and tied to Matt Dominguez. Good quote, Julia. And now it's 2-0 as Miguel Gonzalez nurses the 1-0 lead. He's given up just 1 infield hit. Jose Altuve with 1 out in the 6th inning, picking up that hit. Domingo 0 for 2. Steve Pierce made a diving catch as Domingo made the final out in the 4th inning. Now 2 balls, 1 strike. Only 83 pitches for Gonzalez so far. He does not have a complete game in his Major League career. That comes in for strike 2, and it's 2-2 for this 30-year-old native of Guadalajara, Mexico. Baltimore signed him as a free agent before 2012, and he has performed very well in an Oriole uniform. There's a line shot at the right field line. Into the right field corner for Dominguez. He'll head for second base as Marquez picks it up and check in there with the leadoff double. 10th double of the year. That's a 4-game hitting streak now, and a well-hit ball to right from Matty D.
On a pitch that probably wasn't a strike. Up and away. Watch what Matty D does going after this pitch. That's just seeing a pitch well and handling it. Doing everything exactly right. People say, well, you start seeing good pitches when you get it together. Actually, you start seeing everything looking good.
Now it's Chris Carter. He's hit 2 sky-high pops in this game. Presley on deck. Big cut, strike 1.
Looked like Carter tried to hit something to the right side.
It did.
Didn't hold back on it, but nonetheless trying to shoot one that direction.
Adam Jones actually is stationed about 6 or 7 steps toward right center. It's 0-2. Recognizing the breaking pitch is one thing Chris Carter worked on when Cole Porter gave him 3 days off to do that concentrated work with hitting coach John Maley. It's 1-2. The Astros, during their 6-game winning streak, have averaged 6.2 runs per game. A lot of good innings, good at-bats for John Maley to watch. Tonight it's been tough sledding against Gonzalez. And a strikeout for out number 1.
That costly first out after the leadoff double.
Yep. Gonzalez gets strikeout number 4. Setting up the high fastball with his breaking stuff. 1 big out for him, and now he moves along to Alex Presley. Presley's 0 for 2. It's a big at bat in this game. Robbie Grossman's on deck. And the shortstop Hardy is up the middle. Strike 1 to Presley. Kansas City won at Toronto tonight, 6-1. Jason Vargas quieting the Blue Jays bats. He's 5-2. He beat former Astro Jay Happ, that goes to 4-2. Lorenzo Cain hit his 2nd home run of the year. Alex scored number 4. Bautista number 14 for the losing Blue Jays. Foul tip, and it's 0-2 now. Atlanta won a one-run affair at Miami, 3-2. Julio Teheran going to 5-3. Including Tom Kohler, and Craig Kimbrell got his 14th save. With Giancarlo Stanton going off for the 16th home run he's hit this year. Presley fouls it away. 3:10 start tomorrow. It's Dallas Keuchel with a 6-2 record at 2.55 ERA, and Chris Tillman is 4-2 for Baltimore. His ERA is 4.69. Sunday, the finale of this 4-game series is at 1:10. Scott Feldman pitching against Wei Yin Chen.
Gonzalez certainly aided this evening by some low pitch count innings, but he's earned it. He's been in and just right there in the good spots of the strike zone.
Just off the plate, 1-2. His road ERA coming into this game is 5.96. Joseph is catching him for the third straight start. Matt Cannon working quite well tonight on game calling. Presley shoots one into right field. Dominguez will be stopped by Pat Listash at third base. Markakis with a throw. Now throwing to second, and the tag. And they get the out there on Presley. That's 2 outs. Presley with a single got Dominguez to third, but then the Orioles executed the out at second base.
This is a case of a mistake by Nick Markakis turning into an out for the Orioles. That throw very unlike Nick Markakis, who keeps it down generally, throws it through the cutoff man. But because this throw was up, Alex Presley sees it right here, and you've got to go when you see that throw. But it turns into an out. So even mistakes playing for the Orioles here in this one.
A 9-2-6 play on Presley. Tagged out by Hardy there. Markakis not only has played airless ball for 229 innings, but he throws well. In that case, too high, as you pointed out, but it still turned out well for the Birds. Thanks to Joseph gunning that throw to Hardy.
Matt Dominguez simply doesn't run well enough to score on that ball.
Yeah. Bobby Grossman will try for a 2-out hit now. And strike one on the breaking stuff.
And we can see very well that when Presley rounds first base, he's not going anywhere until he sees that throw. And every alert base runner should see that throw and go.
1-1. Brian Mattis, a lefty, warming up.
What you mentioned, Brownie, was exactly what takes place, or what took place on the play that got the out for the Orioles. Was just real good work by the young catcher.
Oh yeah, he came up to grab that throw a little bit earlier, and then he gunned that throw onto second. Excellent work. That's a shot to left field, backing up Pierce. Pierce will not be able to catch it. It's a tie ball game, and now it's Grossman into second with a huge 2-out hit for Robbie Grossman. He unloaded one over Pierce's head. RBI double for Grossman.
Grossman had a little more aggressive at bat that time, swinging on the first pitch, breaking ball, and then was ready for this fastball, driving it nicely the other way. Not an easy play. That's a tough left field, and that particular part of the ballpark where you're just not sure what you're going to deal with in that scoreboard area, and then it juts back. Tough area. Now a chance for another key 2-out hit.
Jonathan Villar, the batter. And he started the bat and checked his swing on the field to Mike Machlinsky. Ball 1. Villar now 0 for his last 26. The RBI by Grossman is 7th. That's his second double with the Astros this year. It could really help him to settle in now after just returning from AAA a few days ago. makes it 1-1 now. Darren O'Day, a right-hander, had joined the lefty Mattis in the Baltimore bullpen.
Good work driving the ball the other way by Robbie.
Is that too shallow to play with 2 outs in the inning?
That's a good question. It's a lot about the ballpark, and that left field scoreboard area really sets up left fielders to play shallow. It's like Fenway.
Back towards second base by Gonzalez.
Danny Ramirez, who's now back with the Cubs on the minor league level as a player coach, used to play the shallowest left field I've ever witnessed for a good portion of a year. And it was kind of part of the Manny being Manny thing, but he was playing probably 50 feet behind the shortstop at times. It burned him, and eventually he had to change.
VR leans back from that one, ball 2.
I think Jonathan VR has his Seattle Seahawk gloves on tonight.
They're glowing. O'Day, the right-hander, now continues to throw. The lefty Mattis is no longer warming up. That's a fastball, and it goes by VR for strike 2. Kyle Farnsworth gets loose for Houston. In our chat with Bo Porter, he pointed out that VR is not showing those signs of frustration that sometimes cause managers to sit players down for a game or 2. If they're in an extended slump, banging down the batting helmet, things like that. He has not been doing those things. Fly ball out to right center field. Markakis has a long run. This ball's unloaded. The Astros are going to grab the lead. VR with an RBI double gives the Astros a 2-1 lead. He snaps an 0 for 26 with a 2-out, 2-strike hit.
Now, why bother getting a little infield dribbler with nobody on base to break out of the slump? Go ahead and have a big one. And that's one of those backbreakers for the Orioles in this kind of a scenario.
Buck Showalter will ask no more of Miguel Gonzalez, who really pitched well tonight. He trails 2-1, having given up 4 hits, 3 of them doubles here in the 7th inning. The Astros are up by 1, and we'll be right back.
Scoring both their runs here. The second on this double by Jonathan VR, who had a couple of strikes on him, and then drives one out to right center field. Ground rule double for Jonathan VR. 26 at-bats without a hit. And how good that must feel. That goes all the way back to May 18th for his last hit. And he gets that reaction not only for himself, but especially for the team, and that's a good sign.
So RBI number 17 for BR. It's his 8th double of the year, and it gives the Astros the edge now, forcing Buck Showalter to make a move. Darren O'Day is that move. He's 2-0 with a 0.87 ERA. It's Jose Altuve. He broke up the no-hit bid with 1 out in the 6th inning. An infield hit off Miguel Gonzalez. He's 1 for 3. And now a play at third base. O'Day throwing. Machado with the tag on VR. It took off too early, trying to steal third. That ends the 7th as the Astros take the lead with 2 runs on 4 hits. And it's 2-1 Houston.
Top of the Orioles. Bring the whole family out every Sunday home game at Minute Maid Park this season for Family Sundays presented by Kroger. Make sure to take advantage of special family 4-packs of tickets for only $75 on select Sunday games. For tickets, call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit Astros.com.
Sunday at 1:10. Scott Feldman and Wei-Yin Chen. Jesus Guzman takes over at first base for Chris Carter. Carter was 0 for 3 tonight. And the new pitcher is Kyle Farnsworth, with the Astros leading 2-1. They go with the big right-hander for the 8th inning. 0-3 with a 3.48 ERA with the Mets, and then joining the Astros.
Left-hand hitters seen him well. Right-hand hitters having a struggle.
And he will be facing right-handed hitting Machado leading it off, and then Scope, and then Joseph is due up third in the inning. Could see a pinch hitter for him. Brett Oberholzer in 7 fine innings allowed 4 hits, 1 run, did not have a walk, and he had 1 strikeout. He's in line for win number 2. Machado is 0 for 2. At 94, it's strike 1 from big Kyle Farnsworth. He worked a scoreless 9th Wednesday at Kansas City. That was his 4th appearance as an Astro. Oberholzer really good tonight, just as Peacock was last night.
A lot to feel proud of.
Breaking ball tapped out to second for Altuve, and he gets Machado.
This bullpen keeps doing a great job here recently, and nice slider down and away out of the strike zone, inducing the ground ball.
Oberholzer induced 13 ground ball outs of his 21 outs in the game. Jonathan Scope is 0 for 2. Twice he grounded out against Obi. Farnsworth was released by the Mets May 14th after making 19 outings for Terry Collins. He signed with the Astros May 17th. Gave up 2 runs in his first game here against the White Sox, and then he's pitched scoreless ball in his next 3 assignments. Foul Fouled off the leg of Scope, and there's strike one. .882 career appearance. He's now in the top 30. This guy is a longtime survivor. Big cut there by Scope, and he falls behind 0-2, losing his balance on that swing.
That heater found life at 95.
Farnsworth has been a longtime foe of the Astros, now changing uniforms again in his career to begin a brand new chapter. 1-2. A hard thrower who's found his way to a lot of late inning assignments down through the years. Bouncer up the middle off the mound. VR comes after it, throwing and accurately 2 outs. Boy, he kept his body under control on that play.
Not an easy play at all. Beautifully done. Fans, follow every Astros game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Astros.com today. And don't forget the Play Store.
No. Do that. Tony Sepp, the lefty, and Chad Qualls, the right-hander, are tuning up. Caleb Joseph is the batter. He's 0 for 2.
Yeah, that was a really one of those tricky in-between plays for VR, and he couldn't have made it better.
Strike to Joseph. Five hits for the Astros, 4 for the Orioles tonight. The Orioles had 1 run on 7 hits last night, with Houston winning 3-1. The Astros now starting to turn the tide a little bit, winning some of these low scoring games, which they did not do for weeks. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The bullpen's been a big part of it, with a 1.22 ERA the last 16 games.
Look at that 177 opponent's batting average against in that same span. Very impressive.
On the corner, 1-2. The Astros record when they score 3 runs or fewer is 3-26. The Bo Porter's club scored 3 last night and won 3-1.
You know what Bo Porter would like is to have his record be 1-0 when wearing the Eagles uniform.
And the Astros won 3-0 Tuesday at Kansas City as well. Off the plate, 2-2 to Joseph.
Winning will get you into the games, doesn't it?
Boy. The Astros nail this one down. They have a winning month guaranteed. They would be 15-13 in May with 1 game remaining. We'll have to scurry through the books to see the last winning month the Astros had. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
And we got the figure a little while ago from Boods over there. 2005, the World Series year. This date, the record was 20-34, I believe.
Wow.
So they were not in as good a position as this club currently is.
That is crazy. That's ball 4, a 2-out walk to Joseph. Brings up Mark Capers.
The American League Player of the Week returns to the mound tomorrow as the Astros take on Nelson Cruz and the Orioles. Pre-game live starts at 2:30, only on Comcast Sportsnet. Dallas Keuchel in that Seattle start on the recent road trip. Well, I mean, it was no different than his other starts. His last 3 have been just gems, each one. And he could have had 3 consecutive complete games very well. Dallas Keuchel is pitching as well as anybody in baseball right now, and very deserving of that Player of the Week award. And that wasn't fortune being on the wrong side either.
Farnsworth comes out of the game. Tony Sipp is on his way in. 2-1 Houston. Back in a moment.
Brought to you by Scotch Blue Painter's Tape. Scotch Blue, see what you can do. Talking about Brett Oberholzer tonight, and what a night he's had on the mound. 7 innings of 4-hit ball, allowing just 1 run. It came early on. The offense finally came to life to provide a chance for Brett to pick up a W, but ground ball after ground ball, 13 ground ball outs tonight. He's kept the infielders busy, and that's the way the guys like it. Keep Jose Altuve busy, and you're going to get a lot of outs.
Excellent run of good starting pitching continues for the Astros. Now it's lefty Tony Sipp to face Nick Markakis. Markakis is 2 for 9 against Sipp in his career. And Tony has been absolutely magnificent with that ERA of 0 for 8 games with an Astro uniform on. Now let's see what he does with an Eagle uniform on against Markakis, who's 0 for 3. Most recently, he worked an inning and a third at Kansas City. That was 3 days ago, Tuesday night, in the 3-0 win for his 3rd hold of the year with the Astros.
That stat right there is a key one with Nick Markakis. He's very good against left-hand pitching. He doesn't bail against anybody, so you're not going to get a weak at bat very often against this fine left-hand hitter.
Sipp delivers, and there's ball 1 to Markakis. Sipp retired the first 20 men he faced upon joining the Astros. That covered a 5-game span. Then he gave up 1 hit in Seattle, May 22nd. That's the only hit he's allowed. So left-handed hitters are 1 for 17 against Sipp. Right-handed hitters are 0 for 13 against him.
So if you're Bo Porter, you're not playing the Nick Markakis card here. You're not saying, well, this guy's going to struggle against left-hand pitching. You're just taking Tony Sipp at what he's done to this point against the lefties.
He has fit quite well into the Astros bullpen environment since arriving. He was with San Diego at AAA, and asked for and was granted his release, and the Astros picked him up at that point. In the dirt, and it's 2-1.
It's one of the things Markakis does well is ability to see the ball lay off that slider that many other left-hand hitters might flinch at.
It's got to be a key for him to do so well against lefties then, that he can recognize that spin. Sipp, 30 years old. He's from Pascagoula, Mississippi. An intelligent young man who went to Clemson. He was very good, eloquent on the interview with Julia earlier tonight. Ground ball and diving VR. Can't keep it from going on through into left field for a single. Markakis that takes his hitting streak to 5 games. Very good at bat. And it brings up righty hitting Steve Pearce. And Bo Porter's going to be coming out again.
Yeah, it looks like one of those innings where the skip decides left, right, all the way through. And that bit of a shift right there, left VR with quite a bit of ground to cover.
One batter appearance for Tony Sipp. He's taking his leave. Chad Qualls is on his way with the score. Houston 2, Baltimore 1. Back in a moment. Thomas Cool Papa Bell was a legendary speedster who played in the Negro Leagues from 1922 through 1950. A center fielder, Bell was an 8-time All-Star and had a .337 lifetime batting average. It was widely circulated that Cool Papa could hit the light switch and be under the bed covers by the time the lights went off. Cool Papa Bell was inducted to the Hall of Fame in 1970. He began his career with the Chattanooga Black Lookouts. The Cleveland Indians, 1948, as the 42-year-old rookie, playing for the Browns and the Kansas City Athletics. Cool Papa Bell. Now Chad Qualls, the Astros closer, comes in with runners at first and second, 2 outs. Steve Pearce, the batter, he's 0 for 3. And that's ball 1.
Don't find many of those stellar 42-year-old rookies anymore.
No, sir. Pearce has hit the ball on the ground all 3 times, and that is Qualls' specialty, getting the ground ball. The Astros are not overshifted on Pearce. Fly ball left field. Robbie Grossman with the catch. No runs a hit, 2 men left. Bottom of the 8th ahead, 2-1 Houston.
Astros on top 2-1. Jose Altuve will lead things off this inning. And talking to him earlier, we were talking about his walks. They've kind of gone down a little bit, but don't worry, he's getting on base, leading the majors in hits. He's still hot. And he said recently, since George Springer's been hot, he's getting more pitches to hit. They've been going inside and outside, but they are in the zone. You got to pick your poison when you've got Altuve and George Springer, guys.
Well, that's quite a combination. And in fact, Springer in 24 at-bats with Altuve hitting right in front of him has an OPS of over 2,000. Just an incredible number. That's how well they have worked together. Springer will be coming up after Altuve here in the 8th inning against Darren O'Day, who came in and got out number 3 without having to throw a pitch when VR was thrown out trying to steal third from 1-5. Now it's Altuve who got the first hit for the Astros with 1 out in the 6th inning, an infield hit to short. He's 1 for 3. O'Day throws a slider and it's good for strike 1. Orioles will have their 3, 4, 5 hitters due up in the 9th. Cruz, Jones, and Davis. So the Astros' mission is to get some insurance runs. No balls, 2 strikes. Well, they got into it tonight with the Rays and the Red Sox, Ash. 4 Red Sox players, 4 members of their club ejected, including the skipper, John Farrell.
Tends to happen when you're struggling.
Cooper to right field. Markakis 1 out.
Reigning champions 24 and 29. They've actually won 4 straight coming in, but they had, I believe, lost 9 straight prior to that.
George Springer, who has hit 7 homers in his last 7 games, became only the 2nd rookie to do that since 1900. Rudy York did it in 1937 with Detroit. Springer's 11-game hitting streak is on the line now. He's 0 for 3. Still another game left in May after this one, but he has already set the Astros rookie record for home runs in any month of the year with 10. Morgan Ensberg hit 7 homers in a 6-game span in 06. Whoa. 1-1.
There's something you don't need. With a fastball running up in the end. George trying to be aggressive and then have something go wrong there. He actually turned a bit the wrong way, and that could have gotten very dangerous.
It's 1-2 on the slider from O'Day. He's 31 years old from Jacksonville, Florida. He pitched at the University of Florida. He's been on the big league scene since 08 with the Angels. He's been a Met and a Texas Ranger. Joined the Orioles in 2012. Now back. It's still 1-2 for Springer.
Good job getting a piece there on that slider once again.
Yeah, you know, you can see why a hitter would want to lean out on that pitch, but then the up and in pitch came. That's a reminder not to lean out too far.
Well, George in this at bat has gotten that head cheese and then the slider away a couple of times. That's a very tough combo.
Going up and in again. 2-2. Good strikeout numbers last year for O'Day. He fanned 69 and 62 innings with Baltimore.
Not often you'll see a submariner have his catcher putting the glove up saying, I want the fastball up here.
And he gets a strikeout. 2 outs.
Great guests, hot topics, and no holds barred debate. Kevin Eschenfelder serves it up every single night on Sports Talk Live at 5 p.m. Only on Comcast Sportsnet.
Dexter Fowler's 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Twins beat the Yankees in New York 6-1. Ricky Nolasco going to 3-5. He beat Vidal Nuno. Willingham hit his second. Proof his fifth. Arcia his second for the Twins. Strike to Fowler. The Indians down the Rockies 5-2 in Cleveland. 12 strikeouts from Corey Kluber. Rockies get out of that altitude and they really come back down to earth. Chop slowly up the line at first, and Davis gets there and steps on the base for the out to send this game to the ninth. 2-1 Houston. Comcast Sportsnet's presentation of Houston Astros baseball is brought to you by AT&T, mobilizing your world. We go to the ninth inning, a one-run lead on this civil rights game evening. And it's Chad Qualls who came in to get Pierce with 2 men on, ending the Baltimore 8th inning. And now here in the ninth, it's Cruz, Jones, and Davis, the 3-4-5 hitters for Buck Showalter. Nelson Cruz is 1 for 3 tonight. Strike one for Qualls. Farnsworth went 2/3 of an inning, allowing no hits, no runs. He had a walk and no strikeouts. Tony Sipp gave up 1 hit, did not retire a man. It's 0-2, and this is the most difficult type of save. He came in first of all in the 8th inning with a couple of men on, and now goes through the power part of the order in the ninth with a 1-run lead. Wells with 4 saves and 5 opportunities. One ball and 2 strikes. Chad picked up his most recent save last night in the 3-1 win. And kept his pitches down to just 15 total in that game with 1 hitless inning. Correct that. It was only 8 pitches last night. And he gets a strikeout. We go to Howard Chen.
Thanks a lot, Brandon. We asked on Twitter who the fans thought that would be the Astros player of the month for the month of May. Steven Roca tweets, Springer hands down. Not only is he mashing, but he has brought a buzz around town. Back to the Astros. Anti-Bob tweets, Altuve for sure. Have some of the players had good days or weeks? Yes, but Altuve is consistently good game after game. Thank you very much for tweeting me, Ho Chen CSN. Brownie, back to you.
Thanks, Howard. Now it's Adam Jones. Jones doubled and scored the Orioles run in the second. He's 1 for 3. Brad Qualls had a save in a 1-run win. against the White Sox here on May 18th, 6-5. Wanted in the air, and there's a catch by Castro. 2 outs.
Well, if you're the Astros, big thank you right there for that bunt attempt.
We promised it earlier in tonight's game. It's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Jonathan VR sends the Astros in front 2-1 with the RBI double in the 7th, snapping it 0 for 26.
Well, that's going to help sleep come a little bit easier tonight.
Now Chris Davis. Davis is 1 for 3. Big crowd tonight. Tickets sold 38,482, and this crowd is standing. Strike for Qualls.
I can understand Adam Jones thinking, well, maybe I'll try to get on with a bunt and then the running game and all that sort of thing. But this inning with Nelson Cruz, Adam Jones, and Chris Davis, big bats, a very tough inning, and that was kind of a gift out.
1-1. Guzman is playing very close to the first base line. Altuve's out in right field. Springer's over in right center. Weare's in shallow right center. So the players lying on the chessboard are in an interesting defensive fashion right now. Boy, they're set up on Davis. There's the look.
I hope Altuve can cover the line all the way to the wall.
Third base line, left field line, wide open for Chris Davis. And he fouls it back.
Now, this is really intriguing when you consider one thing you don't want to give up right here is a double.
J.J. Hardy's on deck.
Ball hit straight away to right field in the outfield. Could be that double.
Could be. Check recall, a delayed call by Mark Wegner ends the game. And Davis really contesting that one, but the Astros now have their first 7-game winning streak since 2010. Jonathan VR provides the game winner in the 7th inning. The Astros didn't get a hit until 1 out in the 6th. And they have that 7-game winning streak. They're now 24-32. They've won 13 of their last 19. And those Eagles uniforms are looking very good right now.
Yeah, that